guys, welcome back to art class. You'll see I'm sitting here in front of the whiteboard, you all know it. I'm Mr. Graham, just to remind you. So we are starting grade 6, now exciting year. It's going to be a fun year for art. We're going to do a whole bunch of fun things. We're starting off with a project that's similar to the project I always start off with grade 6s. That project is, and some of you will remember it, always outside my classroom at the beginning of the year. The grade 6s do versions of their name. I usually get them to do a graffiti version of their name and then color it and decorate it on a printed page that looks like bricks, and then they stick it outside my classroom. Now, this year is a slightly different year, and I kind of felt like doing a slightly different project. It's going to be similar though. So how it's going to work is we're looking back into like the 1500s, sort of back, way back in the day. In the medieval times, and I think they did it for a number of years afterwards, you'll even see it in some books nowadays, they did something so obviously back then they didn't have printers, so what they did is they wrote everything out, hand wrote everything. Very, very, very like neat. They had something called an illuminated initial. That was kind of the first letter on every paragraph or page would be this giant letter. And it wouldn't be just a giant letter, it would be a giant decorated letter. Sometimes it would just be used to make it look pretty. Sometimes they did it to make it to kind of tell what's happening in the story. Now our version of this project is going to be more like the second one. It must look pretty, but it's also going to kind of tell us something about ourselves. Remember, you're using your name. So your name can be your first name, can be your last name, can be a shortened version of one of your names, or it can be a nickname which people call you. For example, you might be called Little Dog. Then you can use L or D. So for me, Graham, I'm going to use G as my letter. I'm going to come up we're going to start off by doing A, that's the bell, if you can all hear it, make you feel at home. So we're going to start off by coming up with a mind map for ourselves. Now I'm going to give you a list of questions. The questions might sound random when you first hear them, but we're going to use the answers to those questions to come up with 3 different ways of doing your initial. Now I will show you how I do mine. I'm going to be answering the same questions that are in the PowerPoint, which I'm putting on Google Classroom for you. And then I will use my answers to come up with 3 different designs for a first letter. And then I'm going to choose my favorite design. And on an A4 piece of paper, which is this size, you are going to then do a quality version of your name and the initial. All right. Alright guys, here's my mind map. I answered all the questions which I could. Now, it's got quite a lot of information on this mind map, but there could be more. So, if I get stuck on the next process, then I'm going to go back to this mind map and add more. So think of other questions which I can ask myself. For example, like what is my favorite clothing item? Maybe I like hats. I wear glasses. What would my perfect job be, for example? What is my favorite subject? What is my favorite color? So think of random things. And then what I'm going to do as my next process is G is the initial I'm going to be using. So I will take G and I will look at how I can write a G using, for example, the Amazon rainforest. Can a G be made out of Amazon rainforest? Can it be made out of trees? Can it be made maybe as a part of the forest with a little G cut out of it? What else is there? Reading. Can a G be made out of books? I know it can. I've done it before. Can a G be made out of food? So sushi or pizza. I know for a fact that G can be made out of sushi quite easily. Can a G be made out of tennis or chess? Yes, very easily again. I could see it as a tennis racket, a broken tennis racket, for example, or a strange chess piece, maybe. Can it be made out of a Springboks or the Proteas? I'm sure it can. So you basically apply what you wrote about yourself, but come up with 3 different versions. We're just coming up with thumbnail sketches of our initial. A thumbnail is very, very small. So basically not as small as this, but small, 3 small, quick sketches. These are just kind of to get the idea down so we can see what it would look like. We're then going to choose our favorite design of those 3 and then do something more final. Okay, so I'm going to do that. Hey guys, so as you can see, I came up with a number of different ideas of drawing a G. Did the Amazon rainforest one, I like that a lot. Also did the little Swiss Alps, little Swiss mountain with the clouds coming over as a G. And I did a little palm piece over here. I've done a sushi G. I've done a tennis racket G over here. I did a koala or panda G over here. I did a little, what is this little G? Lord of the Rings G, like a broken ring. So I did a lot of different ideas. Now, I came up with so many ideas, I can't now decide which is my favorite one. So what I think I'm going to do, because I still like the idea of the initials, so I'm still going to write my initial and the name in a simpler font. So I think I'm going to do my first name and my last name. So it's going to be Matthew Graham. But the M is big and the G is big. And I've now come up with enough ideas. I don't have to then try and rewrite my M right now. I can do that later maybe. I've got my final page here. So I'm going to get started on my final. Now I'm going to get started in pencil so that if I'm making mistakes, I can always erase. It's quite simple to erase. And then to finish it off, I'm going to make it look cool. All right. Okay guys, I'm finished. Here it is. Here's how it came out. I've done the initial and the name. I might actually also put some sort of a line or design underneath here because I feel it's a bit blank. It needs a bit of space. It needs something in that space. And maybe this side here also needs something. So, not quite finished. Finally finished. So what I did is I decided I liked the Amazon rainforest idea. I thought maybe what could go with that, maybe a map idea. So I put the footpaths as like a line across the bottom, but like a curvy little line. And then made a little X marks a spot on the right to decide where I'm going to. And I thought, okay, I still wasn't quite full enough on this side here. So I put a little compass thing. And yeah, I really like how it turned out. And this is going to be outside my classroom when you guys come.